Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It's Garlaanx here bringing you a new Diablo video, and today, as the title suggests, we're going to be looking at a very niche build. We're on the PTR, Public Test Build, Public Test Realm, going into Season 5. Now, I know of one other content creator that was pushing this build, and on Season 4 on the live servers, he was getting up to like 140 pit level, and you could probably push that more. So we're looking at a Bone Spirit build. However, it's not a Bone Spirit build. It's actually a Blood Artisan's Cuirass build. So there is a difference. If you're playing pure Bone Spirit, you're going to want to maximize your essence as much as you can. You're going to be using the overpower necklace to guarantee overpowers. The pure Bone Spirit build probably outweighs this build. Again, this is a lazy man's way of doing it, but it's still relevant. So I wanted to try it and see if there was any major changes going into Season 5 at least. But again, this is actually a Blood Artisan's Cuirass build. It's not a Bone Spirit build. We're going to focus everything we have into Bone Spirit as far as the skills go. And we're going to be utilizing Bone Prism because there's a new aspect with that I wanted to play with. So right now on PTR, I was able to get Bone Spirit to rank 17. You can get this to rank 25 to 30. I think you can get it to 29, maxes out, maybe more, with everything maxed out. Obviously, my gear's not even masterworked at all. We're very limited on what we have on PTR, which is a problem. We should be able to have access to everything. I don't want to sit here and farm the pit for masterwork materials when we only have a week of testing. But we are using a Harlequin on this build just because it gives us the 4 ranks. Again, the Blood Artisan's Cuirass. Ideally, you want to get one that has greater affixes and 5 blood orbs. I'm only using this one because it's the only one I could find quickly that had +3 to Bone Spirit. But it is picking up 7. You want to only have the pick up 5. I have another one here that does have 2 greater affixes, but the Bone Spirit is only +2, and then this is when a pick up 6. So ideally, you want to get a greater affix on your Bone Spirit, and you want to only have the pick up the 5 so you can rapid fire these as fast as you can, essentially. We are using Temerity on this build because it's basically making us unkillable. You're maximizing your hit points as much as you can, so Barrier is giving me additional HP. We are using the Black River on this just for the corpse consumption. Every time we consume a corpse, we're basically making a blood orb that fuels this whole build, right? So consuming a corpse has a 45% chance to spawn a blood orb, and we're sacrificing 5 corpses with Black River. So on the gloves, I have Bloodlance. Bloodlance automatically picks up blood orbs. You don't have to have this. Again, this is just the lazy man's way of doing this. You want the core skills on gloves. So the boots, these are the new boots coming in Season 5. The Path of Tragul. And it says Bone Prison traps a larger area, fires bone splinters, increase your maximum essence by 2 for 10 seconds each time these bone splinters hit an enemy. And it has +3 to bone skills. So I was just testing this out with Bone Prism. I don't think you would need these for the main build because you can actually get boots with Bone Spirit ranks on it. I just wanted to play around with these boots, and having the extended Bone Prism, I mean, it's a huge Bone Prism, guys. It extends the area a ton, and then you can see the bone splinters are firing off, increasing my essence. My essence went up to 165 on that. So even if you're playing a pure Bone Spirit build, not using the Blood Cuirass, you might actually want to use this just because it does increase your essence by a ton. Like, I think my base essence is like 103 or something. Yeah, 103. So we gained over 60 essence just from that extended Bone Prism. So Bone Prism is actually pretty decent. Again, if we were using the Bone Spirit, pure Bone Spirit build, then it would probably work out. Because I think you need 275 essence. So you're maximizing your essence on your gear with that build. Not for this build, though. So essentially what we're doing here is we're using Army of the Dead, which will spawn a bunch of corpses. We're consuming those corpses with Corpse Explosion. When we consume those corpses, it drops blood orbs. We're consuming those blood orbs with Blood Lance, and then we're also using Fast Blood. So blood orbs reduce your ultimate cooldown by 2.3 seconds. So you should have a pretty fast uptime on Army of the Dead, and you're just cycling corpses, and then every 7 that you pick up, it should be 5, but theoretically every 5 blood orbs you pick up, which you're doing automatically, is going to be firing off bone spirits. So essentially what this all looks like is you're cursing, you're firing off Army of the Dead, you're pulling everything in, your blood, and then you just spam. So we're spamming those corpses. Go ahead and split your Bland Lance, Bone Prism again, making sure everything's vulnerable. Spamming, and then that Bone Spirit is proccing. Army of the Dead's up again already, waiting for all those corpses. Bone Prism, Lance, and you can see the Bone Spirits going off. Now, again, my character is not maxed out on PTR, so my Bone Spirits are only doing about 30 million. Now, on a maxed out build, Bone Spirit, I mean, we've seen upwards numbers of several million to a billion. I believe we've hit the billion mark. Unfortunately, the billion with a B, Bone Spirit, is actually on the Bone Spirit build itself, and that's using overpowered damage. So this is just the lazy man way of doing it, like I said. Consuming corpses, generating the blood orbs, auto grabbing the blood orbs, spamming Army of the Dead for more corpses, rinse, repeat, and then we're just firing off those Bone Spirits non-stop. So one more aspect that they just added to the game, which is a new aspect, is... where's it at? Here it is. So this is the Imprisoned Spirits aspect. When Bone Spirit explodes inside a Bone Prism, it explodes an additional time, dealing 70% normal damage. Bone Spirit now prioritizes enemies inside a Bone Prism. So this aspect is probably going to be used on the normal Bone Spirit build as well. So yeah, Bone Spirit is looking like an S tier build going into Season 5. I believe it was already an A tier, S tier on the live servers already. I haven't really played it on the live servers. Again, I only know of one other content creator that really pushed Bone Spirit, and he was able to get a billion damage on his Bone Spirit. So now going into Season 5 with Bone Spirit, you're going to be able to cast a secondary Bone Spirit. It's only going to be 70% less, or 70% of the normal damage, but 70% of a billion damage is still, 700 million damage. So, yeah, Bone Spirit's looking pretty strong. Now, this is not my cup of tea. I personally am not a fan of this build, whether it be the Blood Artisan's Cuirass build, or if you are using a pure just Bone Spirit build. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but it is valid. It is going to work. And yeah, I just wanted to take a look at it on preview, try the new items. Like I said, the new boots. I don't think the boots are going to be necessary, but they might, just because of that essence gain alone. Like I said, we were gaining about, 60 essence, give or take, when we fire that prism off. Yeah, we're getting in 62 essence off of that Bone Prism. So that's going to greatly help out with hitting that 275 threshold for guaranteed overpowers coming from the amulet with a pure Bone Spirit build. Like I said, this is a kind of a niche build off of a Bone Spirit build. This is like a variation. This is, again, the Blood Artisan's Cuirass build, which is just focusing everything on collecting the blood orbs. And like I said, again, you can maximize your damage. You don't have to take the lazy way of auto collecting the blood orbs with Blood Lance. It just makes it so much easier. You can slot more damage, a more damaging aspect in here. I've tried this without the Black River. I was originally going to try this with the Doombringer. Doombringer obviously increases core skills and all that. And also Doombringer gives you a huge amount of life as well. Unfortunately, for this, we'll call it mana battery, essentially. For this whole mana battery system to work, the Black River is kind of needed because you're sacrificing 5 corpses at once. They're all dropping blood orbs, which means you're pumping out more bone spirits, essentially. I tried using just a normal weapon as well. On a normal weapon, obviously, you can roll the affixes, temper the affixes for bone spirit damage, bone spirit explosion size as well. And you can do this, but like I said, you're going to have problems maintaining corpses, unfortunately. So even if we go ahead and do this here, we will run out of corpses. It doesn't happen often, but when you're out in the world and everything and you're doing dungeons, you can't risk not having either Army of the Dead up or having corpses available for you to be sacrificing to rinse and repeat the process. It does happen. You will squeeze out, I think, a little more damage, obviously, using a weapon with tempered affixes on it. But like I said, you can't risk, and it's also a lot slower, right? We're only consuming 1 corpse at a time here compared to the 5 corpses. So it is a little slower. It's a slower process, but you can squeeze out a little more damage with that. But the Black River is definitely the faster way to go, in my opinion. So like I said, Bone Spirit is probably going to be S tier, especially a pure Bone Spirit build. This niche version of it is going to be valid. You're going to be able to do Pit 100 on this, on the Blood Artisan's Cuirass, no problem. Once you maximize everything, start masterworking everything, and really focus on the gear. You don't really even need temerity. This is just for survivability. You don't really need this. You can slot in something here for another aspect slot. You can go two-handed instead of the one-handed, but the shield does give you a more, again, HP and defense. You can roll damage reduction on the shield as well. Mine's not utilized at all. This is just random gear that I had on preview. So that's all I got for you folks today. I really wanted to look at this. You really want to max out your critical strike damage for the Blood Artisan. If you were doing normal Bone Spirit, you'd be looking at overpower damage as well, because you'd be guaranteeing overpowered with the amulet. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, like I said, going into Season 5, Bone Spirit, the pure version of the build, is definitely going to be S tier. It's doing billions of damage already in Season 4. And now with this new aspect, basically doing 70% of normal damage. Like I said, you're basically just hitting twice with Bone Spirit, which is insane. Again, it's not my cup of tea. I don't really like the playstyle personally, but there are people out there that do enjoy this playstyle, so more power to them. And yeah, it's definitely going to be S tier. Like I said, this version of it, yeah, I don't think it's S tier. It's definitely A tier. You'll be able to do everything. You're just not going to be able to push very high pit numbers with this. So any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and leave below. Again, this is the Blood Artisan's Cuirass build. I just wanted to look at it. I wanted to look at the new boots and then that new aspect. So that's all I got for you folks today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys real soon.